Hello everyone. We're going to take Grixis Shadow into another league. I made a couple of changes to the list. I cut one Dreadhorde Arcanist for a Preordained to have more things to actually do with Dreadhorde Arcanist, and I cut a Thoughtseize for a Snuff Out. So let's go ahead and join a match here. It felt like I wanted maybe one more removal spell for 5, which most Delver decks run. I felt 4 removal spells were not quite enough. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. This is a fine hand. I'll keep it. It doesn't actually play the turn 2 Dreadhorde, but that's fine. We'll probably find a way to play that Dreadhorde Arcanist sooner or later. They are pondering before casting a land. I'm just gonna let that resolve. Or before playing a land, rather. They chose to shuffle and then they just scooped. So we know we're playing against something with snow-covered islands. I'm just going to sideboard as if it is Snow Control. So against Snow Control, we're going to take out the Forces of Negation. We're going to take out the Wastelands. We're going to bring in all of our blast effects, red blast and pyroblast. I'm going to bring in the Soul Guide Lantern. I'm going to board out Snuff Out, and I'm going to board in 2 Plague Engineers. So we could also bring in Surgical Extraction, but I think I kind of like the deck the way it is. We're going to be on the draw, so maybe I'll cut 1 days for 1 Surgical Extraction, and now we can try and hit Swords to Plowshares after the first one, or maybe Surgical Extract a Euro or something like that. We'll see what happens. What I'm finding is a lot of the time against Snowko, there will be a situation where you know the contents of their hand, and you can take a card in their graveyard that gets a card in their hand as well, so the Surgical Extraction isn't quite so bad. Alright, this hand looks perfectly keepable. We still actually don't know that we're on Snow Control, or that our opponent is playing Snow Control. But even if they're playing like Omnitel or something, we still want to bring in the Plague Engineers if they have Icefang, Codal, and stuff like that, and we still want to bring in the Red Blast. So I'm gonna keep this hand. Alright, there's that snow-covered island again. I'm going to cycle this Street Wraith first off. We'll cycle that one, get even closer to playing this Death Shadow here. And perfect, a Delver of Secrets. I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch up a Watery Grave, play our Delver, and pass. Okay, Thoughtseize. He'll take our Force of Will, presumably, or they. We'll probably take the Force, but then we get some Ponders to try and do some good stuff. Might go Scalding Tarn, fetch up Steam Vents, and Ponder followed by Death's Shadow. But I'm not 100% certain. I'm thinking maybe our opponent is on Doomsday or a Storm variant. So they're probably wondering if they should take the Death Shadow or the Force of Will if they're on a combo deck. Probably the Force of Will is what they're going to take. And they have taken Force of Will, as we predicted. Dreadhorde Arcanist. So that will not flip our Delver, but we do get a chance here to fetch up Steam Vents, pay 2 life. We can Ponder to maybe find another Force of Will, or, ooh, Thoughtseize. That's pretty good. So we're going to put Bolt, Thoughtseize, and then Force. We're not going to shuffle. Play our Death Shadow, and next turn we get to flip our Delver on the Thoughtseize. And Thoughtseize them, and then we're swinging for 8 damage total. Tropical Island, interesting. We will reveal the Thoughtseize here. Thoughtseize them. They probably have a Brainstorm to hide stuff, but I'm not sure. Maybe this Thoughtseize will resolve. They also have a green mana, so they could just Veil of Summer. I'm just going to let this Brainstorm resolve, because if I Force and then they Veil of Summer, that's a huge blowout. And we do have Surgical Extraction in the deck, so that's something to consider. If they leave a crucial piece in their hand, like a Doomsday or something. They are really thinking on this Brainstorm here. And Thoughtseize resolves. Oh. No, it looks like... Oh. Abrupt Decay on the Death Shadow. Okay, it looks like we are playing against Snow Control. Force of Will and Ponder. I'm going to take the Ponder here. And so now that we know they're not on a combo deck, I think I'm going to go ahead and Ponder. Ooh, Death Shadow, Lightning Bolt, Pluto Delta. I'm going to put the Bolt, the Death Shadow, and then the Delta, because we may as well play our third land. Next turn we're drawing Death Shadow, and we can play Death Shadow and Dreadhorde Arcanist. Oh, you know what? Abrupt Decay doesn't necessarily indicate that they're not on Storm. That might have actually been kind of stupid of me. They could still very well be on Storm, and then they just have... No, actually Storm doesn't play Force of Will. I don't know. It's kind of curious because Snow Control doesn't usually play Thoughtseize. Maybe they're just like a Sultai version. Either way, I kind of feel confident shocking myself with this fetch land to make our Death Shadow bigger and threaten a 1-turn clock. I'm going to get another Watery Grave. And we will play our Arcanist. Fatal Push on our Death Shadow, and Abrupt Decay on our Arcanist. That's fine. Ooh, Soul Guide Lantern. I'm just going to attack, and then we'll go ahead and play Plague Engineer. I'm going to name Snake to prevent any sort of Ice Fang surprises. Oh, damn. Baleful Strix. Okay. So we will play our Soul Guide Lantern. I'm going to exile this Fatal Push. I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice it to draw a card. Alright. Block and go to 6. Snapcaster. That I'm gonna force. Ah, darn. It's Snowko. Just gonna attack them here. We are gonna force that. He's already created a food token, so if we go to 3 here, I mean, it's less than ideal for sure, but we gotta force this Goyf, I mean. Surgical, not the best draw here. We can't attack, of course, because of that food token. So they can, of course, just give us the food token for our engineer, but that doesn't, I don't know. We're just going to play this street right here. Hardcast Force of Will. Pernicious Deed. Okay, that's interesting. Darn. We'll play this Dread Horde. I'm surprised he didn't sacrifice his food token there. I see. If he turns it into an elk, then I just have to block, and he doesn't even need to use his Pernicious Deed. Oh well. Questing Beast. Yeah, that'll do it. I'm just going to scoot. Alright, now we have a slightly better idea of what we're playing against. And it looks like it actually isn't quite as strong against Wasteland as I thought. We're going to bring in the days because we are on the play. I am not thinking I really need the Surgical Extraction or the Soul Guide Lantern. We did see Snapcaster Mage, but at this point, I'm thinking that maybe... And you know, I'm not sure about even Plague Engineer. We saw Snapcaster Mage, we saw Baleful Strix, and we saw Tarmogoyf. So I'm thinking the Snuff Out is probably good. I think we are going to board out the Forces, because they're kind of this attrition-y deck. And I think we are going to bring in these Wastelands. A Braid, I don't think we need. I think our deck, as it currently is, will be fine. We'll play first. I'm going to keep this. This is a great hand. All right, there's a Polluted Delta. Inquisition. That sucks. They're going to take our Brainstorm. Nope, they took our Lightning Bolt. Okay, so that means they probably have, like, Baleful Strix. And we will flip the Delver off of Brainstorm. Let's play Brainstorm here. shuffle away 2 lands and cast a second Delver of Secrets. And there's a Baleful Strix. I'm not going to brainstorm and just yet. We'll brainstorm now. There's a red blast. Ooh, and a wasteland. That's very good. So we'll put Scalding Tarn and Preordain on top. Ah, crap. I was supposed to play the wasteland. Oh well. I'm going to red blast that Strix. And we'll attack with all creatures. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I was definitely supposed to wasteland that Tropical Island that turn. Okay, Tarmogoyf. Let us now wasteland a Tropical Island. Brainstorm in response. Okay. Attack them down to 6. And I'm going to Preordain. Pyroblast does seem like it might be good to have in case they play a Baleful Strix or like Oko. I would really like to draw another threat, however. I think I'm going to cycle this right now. Okay, Daze and Pyroblast. I'm feeling like slightly more comfortable with both of those in our hand. Ah, Fatal Push. Damn. We'll take 5, go to 8. Now, I could cycle this, but if I cycle this and they play a Strix... Oh no, there's already an artifact in the graveyard, okay. So we would need, let's see, we have the 4 normal. We would need a Planeswalker. I don't think I'm going to cycle the Street Wraith yet. This is a pretty close match. All right. Snapcaster. We are going to Pyroblast that. Force of Will. Ah, dang. Let's see here, what can we do? We can cycle our Street Wraith. This is kind of difficult here, because if we cycle our Street Wraith and we draw like Lightning Bolt, that obviously wins us the game. But it also makes it so that we can't fetch our volcanic island. This is tricky. I think at this point we have to cycle the Street Wraith. Ponder. Yeah, we don't daze anything. Well, now I think we're pretty screwed. We haven't had our draw step yet, so there's always that. Although I'm not really sure what we could draw at this point. There's a Fatal Push. If we daze, we can put them to 1, but that doesn't matter. I don't really think there's anything that does it for us at this point, even if we find a Lightning Bolt. Damn. Well, that was a very close game. We lost. They had the Force of Will for our Pyroblast on their Snapcaster page. That's just how it goes. Could have maybe played that a little differently at 1 or 2 points, but I don't know. I felt like we played that. Okay, so really I think if we had wastelanded that tropical island that one turn, that could have really made the difference between the win or the loss there. So I think maybe my misplay of playing that polluted delta instead of that wasteland was actually what really decided that match. So we just have to play better. I'll keep this hand. Because that daze would have been probably more effective. All right. Anyhow, let's focus on the current match. So we will be able to play a Delver next turn and wasteland them if they play a non-basic. Duress, okay, we're playing against a combo deck of some sort. We are going to play Delver and wasteland their Underground Sea. And we know that Delver's flipping next turn on, I think it was a Ponder. Ooh. No play from the opponent. I'm going to cast Ponder here to try and hit our third land drop. Brainstorm, Snuff Out, Thoughtseize. I'm going to shuffle this. There's some good cards there, but I'd really like to find an additional land. Lotus Petal. We are going to cycle Street Wraith in hopes of finding a land. That is not a land. Ponder. Okay, here we go. That was a mistake. I should have actually put Lightning Bolt after the Death Shadow to flip this other Delver, but yeah, I should have thought about that harder. I should have put Lightning Bolt on top. On the plus side, we can play the Death Shadow this turn. But I think the smarter play might be the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Which will let us flash back some of those ponders. But we do actually have the option of Bolt. Bolt followed by Dreadhorde Arcanist flashback for just the lethal this turn, so. Dark Ritual. I'm going to let that resolve. Another Dark Ritual, that's fine. Lion's Eye Diamond, that's going to resolve. Lotus Petal. There's a Cabal Ritual. I'll let that resolve. Cabal Ritual, sure, and so this last card is going to be a tutor, which I will counter. Oh, nope, they were just kind of going for it to, I don't know. So we're going to bring in the Null Rod. We're going to bring in the Soul Guide Lantern for any sort of Past in Flames stuff. I'm going to bring in both Surgical Extractions. We can bring in a couple Plague Engineer just to not get caught without an answer to empty the Warrens. I'm going to bring in 2 Pyroblasts. I don't think we need to bring in more than that. So these 8 cards. There we go. There's a bit of a non-bow with Soul Guide and Null Rod, but that's fine. You know, whatever. So we need to cut 7 cards. I think I'm going to cut 2 Wasteland because it's just not the greatest. Going to board out the bolts, and then we need to cut 1 more card. Looking at this current list, I'm thinking that maybe we'll cut 1 Death Shadow. This hand is pretty good. I think we'll probably be able to find a land to play our Thoughtseize with. And we have the turn 1 Delver, so. We're just going to play the turn 1 Delver. Brainstorm. I will let that resolve. We will not reveal that. We will waste the Underground Sea, play our second Delver of Secrets, and we have double Force of Will backup. Lotus Petal, sure. Wishclaw Talisman. That I think I will force. And I think I will force the Veil of Summer as well. So Watery Grave will not flip our Delvers, but it will enable us to cast this Thoughtseize while our opponent is tapped out, which is also pretty good. Lion's Eye, Duress, Dark Ritual. Oh, they just scoop. Alright. We beat Ad Nauseam Tendrils in 2. Play another match here. I think that scoop was premature. I mean, all they needed to draw was like an Infernal Tutor. We won the roll. We will play first. Ooh. I'll keep this hand. Turn 1, Steam Vents, Delver. Turn 2, possible draw land, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Volcanic Island. Days, we will reveal that. Pyroblast. In response to that, I'm gonna Brainstorm. Volcanic Island and Scalding Tarn. We are gonna daze this Pyroblast. So I'm guessing our opponent is on like Blue-Red Delver or maybe Rug Delver. Oh, okay. So maybe it's looking like that sort of like mid-range snow deck. So I don't want to draw that Volcanic Island. I'm just going to go ahead and crack this Scalding Tarn now. Ice Fang, Codal. I can force this, which I think I'm going to do. We're going to get Watery Grave. Ooh, Wasteland. So we have a choice between Wastelanding them or casting the Dreadhorde. I think I'm going to Wasteland them. Because leaving them with a basic forest just feels pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and attack first. And now we finally play one of our Dreadhordes. Okay, so it's just regular Snowko. Sure. We'll probably turn Dreadhorde into an elk. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, I get to kill that next turn. He could just create a food token. Okay. So I could attack, put them at 2, or I could just kill the Oko. Killing the Oko seems like the best play here. Is it, though? Yeah, I'd rather get rid of the Oko. So hopefully we can avoid a Dead of Winter here. Dead of Winter is the absolute worst case scenario. There is a possibility that maybe I should have kept that Dreadhorde Arcanist in my hand. You know, to hedge against Dead of Winter, but I'm fine with just playing it out, you know. All right. Feel pretty good about that. It's going to be a Pyroblast on our insect, that's fine. We will put them down to 4. Cast this Brainstorm. That's pretty good. I'm going to put Dreadhorde and Snuff Out on top, which will allow us to flip this Delver, and then we have Force with Preordained. Then we have Force backup, basically. So we're going to play this Delver. I might actually hold the Shadow in case they do find, Dead of Winter, and then have, like, counter magic backup. The sequencing of this game has been pretty good for me. Like, we were able to really take advantage of our wasteland and so forth. Okay. The Delver flips and they scoop. We'll begin sideboarding. We are playing against a Snow Control deck, so I'm going to bring in every single Pyroblast and Red Blast. I'm going to board out all of our wastelands, which is maybe a little extreme, but I honestly think it's the best. I think it's for the best in this particular matchup. What else do we have here? I kind of like everything else in the deck. Of course, Soul Guide can be good against Euro and against Mystic Sanctuary, which many of these decks I've noticed are playing now. Surgical Extraction can also be good. Plague Engineer can be good. So Daze is actually one that I am not super excited about against Snow Control without Winter Orb coming in from the sideboard, so I think I'm going to bring in the 2 Surgicals, the Soul Guide, and a Plague Engineer. Maybe actually, Two Surgicals. Do we really need 2 Surgicals? I think I'm actually going to bring in the second Plague Engineer over the second Surgical. I don't think this is a keep, unfortunately. We have 2 draws to draw land, but there's no cantrips or anything. I think I have to mulligan that. This one I'll keep on the other hand. And I think we'll put Death Shadow on the bottom, because it's probably going to be a while before we're even able to cast that. Okay. We're going to get a Steam Vents and play our Delver of Secrets. So we now have nothing to pitch to the Force of Negation at this moment in time. but we do have the red elemental blast here to protect against ambush viper. Okay, that's a lot of Arcum's Astrolabes. We will not reveal that, but that's a good draw, because now we can at least cast this Thoughtseize. Ice Fang, Omnath, Omnath, Ponder, Swords to Plowshares, Euro. Well, I think we take the Swords to Plowshares here. And then we just leave up Red Elemental Blast because I'm thinking they'll probably play the Ice Fang, but they might Ponder also. So I could Red Blast this. I think they're probably digging for a land. But I think I will actually just allow it to resolve. And then if they find a land, we have the Red Blast to counter the Ice Fang total. Multiple Omnaths. My client is starting to get a little laggy, so I think I will probably take a break after this match. I'm going to play the Soul Guide. And I'm going to exile the Ponder because if we draw a Surgical Extraction, I am fine with surgicaling the Swords to Plowshares. So it looks like, okay, here's probably going to be the Ice Fang. Maybe not, though. Ah, they drew another Swords to Plowshares. Well, that's going to resolve. Yeah, my client is getting super laggy now. There's an Ice Fang, which I'm going to Red Blast. It's possible I should save the Red Blood Blast for Omnath, but I'm fine with using it on an Ice Fang. I mean, Ice Fang is really good against my whole deck, so... So they're pretty religiously playing around days. I guess they don't really have to, because I don't really have any kind of clock. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and activate this now. They can't blow us out with Mystic Sanctuary or anything. And here's the Death Shadow. They've already used 2 Swords to Plowshares, so I feel pretty comfortable just fetching down with Steam Vents, playing a 3/3 Shadow. And now we have some semblance of a clock. So I'm guessing we're probably going to see an Omnath now. And I will force that. Pyroblast is a great draw. Now we can Pyroblast their second Omnath. As you can see, my client is being super laggy. I think what I'll do is I'm going to I am going to counter this Omnath. There's another Death Shadow, which I think I will play because at this point in the game, I think I have to pressure them. They've already cast 2 Swords to Plowshares. So I really risk getting blown out, but I think it hedges my bets against them just kind of like playing creatures or gaining life. So I will risk opening myself up to the Swords to Plowshares blowout here because I have lethal next turn if they don't have a Swords to Plowshares. Or a blocker, which is obviously kind of a tall order, but I think I'll take my chances in this particular case. So I pretty strongly feel like they have to have something in their hand. could just bolt them here. Perhaps we should have bolted ourselves, but it looks like they probably have a force of will. But then that's fine. We will play Arcanist and force them to answer all of our creatures. And we win the match. All right, we managed to beat a Snow Control deck. So I'm going to go ahead and restart my client now because it's getting super laggy, but I will go ahead and continue recording, and I will see you for our next match. All right, we are back for our fourth match of the league with Grixis Death Shadow. We are currently 2-1. We'll play first. I think I'll keep this hand. It has a turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist. And I think we have at least a couple chances to find a source of black mana. We're going to start things off with a Ponder. I'm going to go ahead and put the Force, Preordain, and then the Scalding Tarn on top. So here I'm going to just go ahead and run one of these Dreadhordes out. I could also Thoughtseize them, but they have an untapped mana, so I feel like they could be holding up Brainstorm. Alright, it looks like we are playing against another Snow deck. There's the Swords to Plowshares. So I think I will Thoughtseize them. They're probably going to Brainstorm, which we can Daze. And we get to take a look at their hand. Dead of Winter, Force of Negation, Ponder, Sylvan Library, and Euro. I'm going to take the Dead of Winter here. And now we get to shock ourselves down even further and play the Dreadhorde, which they have no answer for. It's possible they can find an answer with their Ponder, but we'll see. There's their Ponder. If they don't find an answer, Dreadhorde could potentially run away with this game. We get to flashback Thoughtseize, and then we can play a Death Shadow, so on and so forth. Okay, they found another land. Probably going to play Sylvan Library here. All right. So I'm going to start with preordain. I'm going to bottom both of those. I think we will flash back the Thoughtseize here. And let's see, I'm going to take the Euro. So now they have Caracas and Force of Negation. I'm going to play Polluted Delta, and I'm going to play Death Shadow. I'm going to auto-yield to Sylvan Library. And it is Oko. That's going to resolve. And he's going to turn our Death Shadow into an Elk. Force of Will. So we're going to start by wastelanding the Caracas. I think we attack at Oko with both. Yeah, I may as well. We're going to flash back Ponder. And there's a Lightning Bolt. We could finish the Oko. Which I think I'm going to do. And we'll see if we want to draw the Force of Negation. I think I might be happier just drawing a random card here, so I'm going to shuffle that away. And we're going to get, I guess we'll get a Volcanic Island. There's a Delver. Let's attack with both. And we'll flash back Preordain. Cast it. Force of Negation. That's fine. Play our insect, or our Delver. Not quite an insect yet. will not reveal that. Attack with everything. We will cast the lightning bolt targeting our opponent. Ice Fang Kodal. I am gonna Force of Will that. And now our opponent is at 3. I'm going to set a stop during my upkeep because we will get a chance to shuffle a bad card away with this Polluted Delta on our Delver of Secrets trigger. Brainstorm. And I think we got this one in the bag. All right, we win. So they couldn't find an answer to our Dreadhorde Arcanist, and it ended up winning us the game. So I'm going to board out all 4 of our Wastelands, and we're going to bring in all 4 of our Blasts. We're going to bring in the Soul Guide Lantern, a single Surgical Extraction, 2 Plague Engineers. Going to board out Snuff Out, and let's see, we need to board out 3 cards. I'm going to board out a single Death Shadow because they have, Swords to Plowshares. And I'm going to board out a single Daze. Maybe, let's see, we're on the draw. Maybe I'll board out 2 Dazes. And that seems fine. We still have 21 blue cards, which is plenty to support all these forces. This hand is a mulligan. This hand is a keep. And I think I will bottom one of these Thoughtseizes. I'm going to fire off this Thoughtseize. And Flusterstorm. That's fine. They will Brainstorm. I think I'm going to Daze this. They did have the other land anyway. I'm going to play Polluted Delta and just leave up Red Elemental Blast. Brainstorm. I think I'm going to blast that. This might seem bad, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it's fine. And we drew another Pyroblast, so we can kind of keep playing this tempo-y sort of game. I'll put Steam Vents, Lightning Bolt, and Pyroblast, and we will not shuffle. Pyroblast is really one of the best cards in the matchup, so Astrolabe's fine. I think I will Ponder here, even though that kind of leaves our Force of Will stranded in our hand. Steam Vents, Soul Guide Lantern, and Brainstorm. Well, at least this gives us a blue card for our Force of Will, and maybe next turn we can just cast the Brainstorm if we don't need to use the Force of Will on anything. We will Power Blast that. And I think I'm just going to pass the turn again. That way if we do end up using this Brainstorm, we'll see 3 fresh new cards. I'm going to Power Blast that. Here we go. Sure. We have the Soul Guide Lantern in hand. But I see he may actually... Okay, no. He lets it die. Okay. So now this Soul Guide will be pretty darn good. And I think I will just continue playing Drago for the time being. At this point, I feel like I can Brainstorm. Okay, there's a Death Shadow. I think I'll put Lightning Bolt and Ponder on top. Play the Death Shadow. I will Ponder here. I'm going to put Bolt, Delver, then Thoughtseize. We're going to Thoughtseize them, growing our Shadow and seeing what they have in their hand. We are going to force that Swords to Plowshares. Take the Dead of Winter, leaving them with only Misty Rainforest. Abrupt Decay. Yep. Well, at least we have the Delver that we can flip next turn. another Delver of Secrets. And it's another Euro. We are going to exile their yard. I feel like they probably should be bouncing it with Caracas rather than letting that sacrifice trigger resolve. It's a Plague Engineer. The question is, do I force this? I don't think I do. I think I just let it resolve. Ooh, Dreadhorde Arcanist is pretty good here. Gonna put Ponder, then Death Shadow, and we're gonna play our Arcanist. And now we have Force of Will to protect our Arcanist. And we've got a lot of gas in our graveyard. Leovold. I will force Leovold. We're going to flash back a Ponder. That feels pretty good. Play a Death Shadow here. Cycle Street Wraith. Ponder. And there is a Lightning Bolt, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn. Hopefully we can avoid anything too scary. We're going to bolt them. And bolt them again. And I think that should be game. Awesome. We have beaten Snowko twice, and we haven't even dropped a single game. Well, actually, so this guy was playing a Sultai. I don't even know if you could call it snow. It didn't look like it. I mean, it did play snow basics, but it didn't seem like that was for any particular reason. It seemed like, I mean, like I didn't see Dead of Winter. I didn't see Ice Fang. I don't think I even saw Arkham's Astrolabe. But, so I don't think you can call that a proper snow deck. And these two were definitely proper snow decks. And we ended up beating both of them. We got pretty lucky. We drew well. They drew semi-poorly, I guess. But we were able to protect our Arcanist and our Death Shadow. The Red Elemental Blasts were so good because it prevented all that extra card draw from all of those Ice Fang Coals and so forth. I will keep this hand. I think I'll start by cycling Street Wraith. We'll fetch up a Watery Grave, and I know this is going to leave my shields down for Force of Will, but I think that's okay. I'm going to play the Delver. Ooh, perfect. That's something that we can wasteland. So it looks like we're probably playing against Hogaak. I do not have a ton of experience versus this deck. Careful Study. We can follow up with another Wasteland, thankfully. Which I feel will be pretty good. So I'm hoping to draw something that flips our Delver, hopefully a blue instant or sorcery, so that then we have the Force of Will. And I'm going to wasteland them. It's kind of unfortunate that we can't play any of these shadows, but I think we'll have a chance to play them soon enough. They discard Hedron, Crab, and Pluto Delta. They're really not finding many great cards here. We will not reveal Street Wraith. Let's go ahead and cycle it just to see what we can do here. Okay, so we have the option of playing the Dreadhorde Arcanist, but I think I like just wastelanding them again. And then if they don't do anything next turn, we can play 2 Death Shadows. Or even if they do do something, we can still play 2 Death Shadows next turn, which is pretty sweet. Although playing 2 Death Shadows makes it so we can't play our Arcanist. But to tell you the truth, Arcanist doesn't even seem good right now. So I think playing 2 Death Shadows would be better. Alright, it's a Cabal Therapy. Oh, if they name Death Shadow, that would suck. Yeah. Well, damn. Oh well. We will reveal Thoughtseize. I think I'm going to fetch Volcanic Island here because now that we don't have the Death Shadows, I kind of want to preserve my life total a little bit because they can do really aggressive stuff. And if we're going to cast this Thoughtseize and possibly flash it back, I'd prefer to just have more higher life total. Hedron Crab, okay. Mills 3 cards. Yep. Ooh, Vengevine. Bloodcast. Gravecrawler. I'm gonna cycle Street Wraith. Delver. I think the path to victory for me is flipping this second Delver and then attacking for possibly lethal next turn. Okay, wait a second here. They could potentially have a pretty scary turn next turn with like Vengevine coming back. I think I still have to do this. We'll represent Lightning Bolt, and hopefully, I don't know. I don't see what that might do, but maybe representing Lightning Bolt is okay. They can cast a Gravecrawler, and then they can cast Hogaak, and then they're going to get their Vengevine back. But that means that if we draw Lightning Bolt, or cantrip into Lightning Bolt. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, there's some pretty scary stuff. Oh, he put no cards into their hand with Satyr Wayfinder, though. Which may have just slowed them down. Okay, they're casting Cabal Therapy. I think their draws have been poor enough that we should be able to get this one. And Enforce of Will, okay. And they're going to play Hogaak, and that's going to return their Vengevine. We're just going to take that. Brainstorm. That's a start. And we're going to get multiple opportunities. Ooh, there's the Lightning Bolt. So we've done it. We have won the game. Oh, that was close. So against Hogaak, I haven't really played against this deck a whole lot, but we definitely want the Surgicals. I feel like we want the Soul Guide. I mean, we definitely want the Soul Guide, obviously. Snuff Out isn't the greatest, I don't think. Force of Negation isn't the greatest. A friend of mine said that you really want to answer those early, like the crabs. So I'm gonna bring in. Is Abrade a better answer, or is Pyroblast a better answer? I think Pyroblast might be a better answer. And you know, if we are going that route where we want to have as many cards as possible to answer the crabs, maybe we do want Snuff Out. I feel like I could probably shave a Thoughtseize here, because we're on the draw, in the same way that we shaved a couple days. Plague Engineer can name Zombie, but I feel like it's a little too slow in the matchup, honestly. Caracas can bounce Hogaak, but otherwise is like not the greatest. I guess it's fine. So yeah, I think I'm going to submit this. Ooh, we have the Soul Guide Lantern. I think that is enough to keep this hand. So we are going to fetch up Watery Grave, paying the 2 life, preparing ourselves if we draw a Death Shadow. Gonna exile that Bloodghast. I think I'll daze that Hedron Crab. And there's a Stitcher Supplier. Bridge from Below Gravecrawler. We will take one. I think we play the Watery Grave. Play this Delver. And we just pass. Careful study. There's Vendravine and there's Hogaak. So I'm going to force the Hogaak. And now we can Soul Guide. I feel like that was a pretty solid exchange. We will not reveal Caracas, but I will wasteland their Bayou. So we definitely do need to start finding some blockers because we're just going to lose this race. Maybe I could have played this to not deal quite as much damage to myself. This is going to be pretty explosive, I think. Bridge from Below. Yeah, that's pretty scary. That's going to be a lot of zombies. And I actually have no ratchet bombs, so... I don't know what I can really draw at this point. I guess maybe Surgical Extraction, but that still doesn't feel like quite enough to save me in this spot. I think I need to find a Brainstorm. Ponder's alright. Delver, Lightning Bolt. I think I have to shuffle that. Get rid of the Bayou. This has been kind of an unfortunate turn of events. The Altar of Dementia really allowed them to just plow through after getting after that Soul Guide Lantern went off. Yeah, I have no outs to these zombies, so maybe I should bring in the Abrades as an answer to Altar of Dementia, and also, you know, a potential answer to some creature, one of the Hedron crabs or something like that. There's Hogaak. They're going to attack for 6. I'm just going to concede. I can't win this game. So we will begin sideboarding once again. Going to bring in the Abrades. Going to bring in the Dazes. I don't think Null Rod is the best. I think I'm going to board out Thoughtseize. And I think Pyroblast might not be the best card here. So I feel like this is fine. This is one of those matchups where being on the play makes a huge difference. This hand seems fine. It's not the greatest because I would really like to have something to pitch to Force of Will after playing our Delver, but Wasteland is obviously great on the play against Hogaak. We also have the turn 2 Abrade if they play like a Hedron Crab on turn 1 or something like that. They mull to 6. Careful study. Okay. Bridge from below. We will reveal that. No barking, boy. That's my dog. We are going to Wasteland their Underground Sea, and then I think we will play the Soul Guide, and we will exile their Bridge from Below. Swing with the Insect. Another careful study. I'm going to go ahead and start by cycling the Street Wraith. That's a lot of lightning bolts. That'll help take a couple turns off our clock here. Stitcher Supplier. Yep, that's fine. That was a pretty good mill for them. So I can go ahead and Soul Guide them now. I think I am going to just go ahead and Soul Guide them now. Because if I don't and they play a creature, I mean, I could Soul Guide in response to the creature, but, you know, I just didn't want them to have the opportunity to be able to cast their Hogaak, because I have no real answer to that. Now we have a blue card for our Force of Will. And I feel like this should be ours. Collective Brutality. And that I'm definitely going to force. We'll take one. And that should be game. Alright, so we went 4-1. I think that was a much better demonstration of what this deck is capable of compared to yesterday's league, which did not go very well. Went 1-4 that time, and we went 4-1 this time. So thanks for watching, and I will be back for another league probably tomorrow. Have a good one.